Hello, in this video we're going to be looking at importing audio into Logic. We're going to look at the waveform again, analyse the transients, amplitude and potential frequencies. Then we're going to set a tempo and time stretch the audio clip so it fits in with that tempo. We're then going to look at the scissor tool, slicing the audio into segments and rearranging the audio to create a kind of a new original idea. We'll also look at crossfades and the gluing tool to piece audio back together again. Then we will finally look at destructive editing, which I talked about in the first video, as a way of kind of even manipulating the sample even more. Okay, so the sample we're going to be working with is called the Amen break. It's a really famous 4-bar loop, which was taken out of a song that was written back in the 50s, I think. So you have access to this audio sample. I'm dragging it from this folder here, but this will be in Teams, probably next to the video, so you can grab this. So to import the audio into Logic, we just click and hold the file, the audio file, drag it into Logic, and let go, and it will place it in the grid. So first thing we can see is that the audio file doesn't actually line up with the grid yet. It's the wrong tempo. So we're going to deal with that in just a moment. Firstly, we're going to zoom in and just look at the audio. So what we've got here are lots of transients. So these are kind of impact hits. So that kind of indicates that this could potentially be a percussive sound, potentially a drum kit, which in fact it is. So we've got some louder hits here. So this could be a kick drum or a snare perhaps. The quieter ones might be cymbals or hi-hats. So let's have a quick listen and just find out what it is we're listening to. Cool. So that's the drum break from which is like the 4-bar section taken from this track. So what we're going to do is we're going to speed up the tempo of our audio of our project because we're going to do this in a kind of drum and bass style. So anything between 160 and 170, even up to 180, depending on how fast you want to go, is a kind of good tempo. 170 is kind of the average. I'm going to do 165. So we can still see that the audio doesn't line up with our grid. So if I put the metronome on and hit play, the audio is still at the same pace, same tempo. The metronome is sped up, but they don't match. So a really quick way to adjust the length of audio files so that they time stretch to the right to the grid is to hold down the Option button on the keyboard. So that's the button just next to the Command button, the Option button, and then you hover your mouse down to the bottom half of the right edge of the audio clip. So Option button on the keyboard, move the mouse to the right hand side of the audio clip to the bottom half, not the top half. When you do that, you'll see a bracket with 3 lines either side. This indicates we're in sort of time stretching mode. So if I click now, and I'm going to drag the audio clip back to the beginning of bar 5 so that it's 1, 2, 3, 4 full bars long. So Option key, click, drag, let go, and it's time stretched the audio now. So if I hit play, so you can basically make it as quick or as slow as you want. The more that you time stretch an audio clip, the more work that the computer has to do. So the longer it can take to process. If I undo that, if let's say I wanted to slow it down, so Option key, click and drag out. It will take a little while. Oh, actually, it happened quite quickly. But often it takes more time than that. So let's just listen back. You can hear there are some artifacts in the sound. It sounds a bit tinny. This does happen when you make big changes to the audio, especially with time stretching. The better quality the original audio, the less artifacts you'll get. This is like an MP3, so it's not the best quality, so you will get a lot of kind of tinny artifacts come out of it. But you can use them creatively if you want. So right, let's Alt key 4 bars. Great. So now what I want to do is I want to rearrange this audio file. I want to alter the drum pattern and vary it. So a lot of jungle drum and bass that you hear does this. It chops up the audio and then it rearranges all the parts and turns it into new patterns. So to do this, we're going to use the scissor tool. So along this top bar here, we've got 2 drop-down menus that allow us to change our tools. So I'm going to click on the first one and change it from the pointer tool to the scissors tool. Obviously, you can see it changes it to scissors. Now, if I click on the audio wherever, it will create a slice. So these are now new slices that I can move around. So if I change back to the pointer tool, I could create a new audio track, and between the 2 audio tracks, I could change the order of these clips. So that sounds messy because I put no thought into it. But what we're going to do is we're going to do it in a bit more of a kind of organized way. So I'm going to undo all of that. So now I'm going to go back and select my scissor tool again. I would like to slice this audio clip evenly, so each of the slices are an equal length. So I could go through and click maybe every 2 beats or every 1 bar, depending on how long I want these slices to be. Alternatively, if I hold down the Option key again, and when I do this, you see that there's a little plus symbol that shows up next to the scissor tool. Now, if I click once, maybe 2 bars in, once I do this, it will create remaining slices 2 bars in length across the whole audio clip. So this is a really quick way of doing equal slices across the audio file. So now if I go back to the pointer tool, I can reorganize this. If I click on a file and I want to audition it, instead of hitting the space bar, if I hold down the command key, the option key, before I hit the space, so option and then space, it auditions that one sample. So I can hear that one's like a kick, that's another kick, that's a kind of snare and kick. So I'm able to audition each of the sounds before I move them around. So to do that, once again, I click on the sample I want to audition, hold down the option key, and then hit the spacebar. So let's just reorganize this and see what happens. So put that one there. I'm going to duplicate this. So to duplicate an audio clip, hold down the option key again, click and hold and drag. When you drag it, you'll see that there's a green circle with a plus in it. That shows that you're duplicating. So I'm going to mute the first track and just listen back to what I've got. Okay, I like that so far. So let's see what other sounds we've got here. Okay, I like that one. I'm going to duplicate this. This is totally trial and error, so I'm just kind of imagining what it might sound like, and then I'm trying it out. Let's mute this track again. Okay, let's keep going. So at this point, I would like this kick drum here to play twice as fast. So I'm actually going to zoom in. and I'm going to shorten the length of this particular clip, so it's half the length, so that I can have it do a kind of double kick. That's it. So you can start off by having equal sample lengths, but as you get into the movement of the audio clips to create your new pattern, you can then start to change the length of each of these parts. Anyway, so let's just I'm going to get it so it's 2 bars. So 1, 2. Let's try that one. Okay, right. So I'll mute this. I'm going to select my audio, hold down the command button and U, command button and U to loop that section, and let's have a listen. Cool, I'm happy with that. So that's one way to start reorganizing drum samples. So you can do this at anything. I did it with the Amen break only because it's a very famous break, and this type of jungle music is really popular. But you can do it with anything you want. So you can take an audio file of any kind of drum sample or musical, melodic or harmonic sample and start reorganizing it and turning it into something new. So if I'm happy with this, I can either glue all my slices together. The way I do that is to select my my pointer tool and go down to glue. Now, as long as everything's selected, when I click down, it will glue everything together. So now I've got a brand new audio clip. Okay, I'm going to undo that. The other way you can do this is to select everything and right click and select bounce in place. If I do it this way, then I can keep the original slices there just in case I want to do some more editing later. It will mute them for me, and then I've got my new audio clip here. Okay, so that's slicing and editing audio to rearrange the loops. So, final thing I want to look at is some destructive editing. I'm just going to undo all of that. Some destructive editing to change the pitch and maybe reverse some of the samples. So, let's just choose a couple of samples to mess around with. So, how about this one? I'm going to reverse this sample. Okay, so the only problem with destructively editing this sample, by reversing this sample as it is, it could affect any other duplications of this sample that I may want to use again. If you remember from the first video, if you destructively edit a sample in Logic, it will actually edit the sample, the audio file, wherever it's stored in a folder on your computer. So the best thing to do is to bounce it in place, create a duplicate version in a different name, and then make your edit. So I'm going to right click, bounce in place, and I'm going to make my edit to this new sample. So if I double click, hit File, I'm going to go to Functions, and I'm going to hit Reverse. So now, if I close this down, this sample will reverse. So, it's fine for these audio clips to be on 2 different tracks. It's very common to be working in this way when you're writing drum parts. You may have like some of the audio clips on this track, another one here, another one here. You don't have to have all the audio samples in one track. So let's hit play. Cool, I like that. I'm also going to duplicate it by holding down the Option key and dragging, and I'm going to have it play at the same time as this snare drum here. So as this snare drum hits, the other snare drum is going to be fading in. So this snare drum fades out, this snare drum fades in. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to time stretch this audio clip now. So if I drag it over here and hold down the Option key again, I'm going to time stretch it so it takes twice as long to play, so I get more of a build up. And actually, I'm going to move it at the end so it kind of transitions from the end of this clip back to the beginning again. So you can bounce around using reversing, time stretching, slicing. You could just keep doing it over and over again as part of the sort of reorganization process. So just because I've sliced once here doesn't mean I don't have to do it again down here, and just because I've already time stretched the whole loop doesn't mean I don't have to keep time stretching stuff like as I'm editing even further. So let's have a listen. Cool. So that's my new drum loop. So it's taken. I've taken the original Amen break. I've time stretched it so it's in time with the tempo. I've chopped it up evenly, and then I've rearranged the edits, the clips, the slices, so that it creates a new version of the loop. I've bounced it in place to create duplicate audio files that I can destructively edit and reverse, and I've changed the length of a couple of the samples so that I can kind of create some kind of quicker hits. And that's it. That's it for this video. Cheers.